Hello everyone, welcome to episode number 14 of the Canadian National Railways Sanmore Subdivision in O-Scale 2 Rail. Today I have a special episode for you guys. As you can see, the format is a little bit different. There's no formal introduction, and today we will not be talking about the layout, but we will be talking about trains. Okay, so what's going on, huh? What is this? Why is this episode so special? This episode is about opportunities. Every once in a while, if you're lucky, an opportunity comes by that can change your life. I've been very fortunate to have such an opportunity lately. I did sort of mention it a little bit in episode number 13, and today, finally, I can talk about it publicly. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you guys probably know that trains is a very big part of my life. I've been involved with trains, every form, shape, and size from the time I was 10 years old. And what started as a toy for a 10-year-old boy turned into a hobby through model railroading. And what was a hobby for a long time turned into a passion. And that passion led me to become a real-life railroader. And today I'm very fortunate to earn my living as a locomotive engineer. But lately I've had a request for a special job. Once in a while I get a request for somebody who will reach me to get signals or parts or something. This time someone reached out for me to build a layout for them. Now, how this happened is 12 or 13 years ago, when I moved out here to the North Shore, I came out here to study in the Technical Institute to become a professional railroader. And that's how I ended up getting my job. And that's why I stayed here on the North Shore. Now, last year, that same institute reached out to me because they had heard through one of the teachers there that I also do model railroading, and they wanted me to build a small display, just a shelf, an 8-foot shelf with a main line, a passing siding, so that they could use this to explain to the trainees how turnouts work, how trains operate. Something that would be more tangible than just photos or textbooks. So I agreed to meet with them, and I looked at the space that they had available, and I sort of knew ahead of time what I would propose to them, because I knew exactly what I would have wanted when I was studying there. And so I figured I'm going to propose something a little bit bigger than just a main line and a passing track. So I ended up with a full proposal. It's a switching layout. It's 8 feet along one wall, 16 feet along the other wall. It's an L shape, 2 feet wide. And on that module, it's all modular. It's all something that can be moved if needs be. This incorporates a small yard for marshalling of trains, handling of manual turnouts. It also includes, from that yard you have to go onto the main line. So the main line is like my layout here. It's fully detected, fully signaled as per Canadian rail operating rules. And then you move into an industrial complex where you need to switch your cars. So they loved the idea. After I made the list of all the different rules that could be applied, that could be, clearly instructed, clearly, I don't know how to say that. It's clearly stated and shown. They saw the potential of that tool, and they gave me the go ahead to build that module, which I will have a bunch of photos. This video might be a little bit longer than my usual videos, because I did document every step of the way for the purpose of this video right now. So there will be a slideshow that's going to last a little bit longer. I think I'll jump right into it. We'll go to the slides. I'll show you how I built this system. It's modular. I built this in my shop here, partly in my shop, partly in my studio. Took me 6 months to build a layout from the ground up while working full time. So anyone who say they don't have time to build a layout, I don't believe you guys. Come on, just do it. If I can do a layout, a switching layout, fully signaled in 6 months, so can you. So the layout is in HO scale. It's not in O scale, it's in HO scale because of the space requirements, because I wanted to use commercial track. Like I said, I didn't have more than 6 months to get it all built. But it does include all scratch built buildings and custom painted locomotives and cars. So let's get right to the slideshow. I'll try to edit some comments in there, and I'll get back to the final cherry on top with this opportunity at the end of the slideshow. Okay, going back to the track plan. For the track plan, what I did is I used a couple of known switching puzzles. For example, for the switching yard, I'm using Alan Wright's Angle Nook design, which has its share of challenges. And also for the industrial complex, I'm using John Allen's Time Saver. Now, mind you, for people that never played with trains, for people that don't know anything about railroading, these can be very challenging. So I simplified them a little bit, but still left a good deal of challenge in there to get them used to thinking a couple of moves ahead of time. Now, between the yard and the industrial complex, if you look at the plan, you have to move to the main line. So you have access to the main line from the siding. So you're coming on to the main line between signals, which again, a bunch of rules apply. When you get into the siding, then you have to do a runaround move with your locomotive, run around your train on the main line. So you have access to the main line. So all the rules for CTC applies. You operate on the signals. You do your runaround move. You go back to your train. and then you bring it to the industrial complex, and you spot your cars. So nice little track plan. Uh, quite a good deal of challenges. Lots of rules that apply. Now, in the next couple of photos, I'm showing here all the materials that I gathered to get this job done. And then you can see where I started to assemble the modules one by one. First with the frame, then you see the frame all assembled together, see how it fits, then covering up with the plywood, and eventually getting these on to legs so that I could have an idea of the height and how everything would fit. Now, once I knew that everything would fit well, I put up the rear panel for the backdrop, and then I finished the fascia, as you can see, with slots that can be used to handle the individual models. When doing the fascia, I had to make provisions for the signaling system as well as the control for the turnouts, since we will be simulating taking turnouts in manual mode as well as in electrical mode. So I had to provide some spaces for that, which is what you see in this slide right here. I then painted the fascia and also the backdrop light blue color. And as you can see in the corner module, I made a little cabinet where all the electrical components would be installed with a little door with a lock. After I've finished that, I installed some 2-inch foam for the sub roadbed, and then I printed some templates for the turnouts, and I laid the design on the foam, and then started installing the actual cork roadbed, which was glued directly to the foam, so that I could then install all the tracks. Now the cork roadbed is glued to the foam, and the tracks are actually also glued to the cork roadbed. You can also notice here that I did the photographic backdrop. I use a lot of the techniques that I used on my layout because they worked well, and it's mostly same photos. So yeah, did all the backdrops and finished laying all the tracks, getting everything ready for the signaling system. Now, when I installed the track, since this is a modular design, I had to be careful for the track alignment. So I used some PC board ties that I could weld the track on, and I welded the track on there before cutting the track. And you can also see I used some DCC Concepts dowels, metal dowels for alignment between modules, and this really gives you a perfect alignment between modules every time. Now for the signaling, I'm using circuits for tracks, circuit boards, which are some of the boards that I tried on my layout before I made my own system. The detection boards really worked nicely, and the signal logic in this case was excellent for what I needed to do. So this is what you see here in the photo. You see all the boards, and then I also prepared all the wiring for all the signals, and then I installed the signals on the layout and tested everything out. Now, in order to properly simulate track occupancy, turnout control, all the permits and everything else, I had to create a little CTC machine, little CTC board. So what I did is I made a small CTC machine, a copy of my big CTC machine, but just for 2 columns and for the 2 control locations. But it's basically the same as my CTC machine here. So that way, the teacher can act as the dispatcher and control the signals and give out all the forms and clearances. Okay, once I had the track all wired up and working, next step was to get the buildings done. Now in this case, instead of using commercial buildings, I decided to go with scratch build. Again, because this is what I'm used to, and it's faster for me to scratch build than to kit bash existing buildings. So I designed the Gulf Pulp and Paper Company, which is actually based on the Gulf Pulp and Paper that did exist right here in Clark City, where I live. It no longer exists, but it used to exist a long time ago, and I decided to bring it back to life. So it has a little bit of a history side to it. So I designed all the buildings on the computer, laser cut all the parts out of cardboard. I went, cheap and easy, very simple to do. I didn't care to use laser board or polyback for that. Cardboard did a fine job, and I assembled these buildings, put some color on there, used all acrylic paints, and covered all the buildings to the point where I could add all the details. Now, speaking of details, I did go and have a have a ball with the details. I had fun with that. Again, not used to working in HO scale. It's a bit small for me, but still, it was a lot of fun. I added a bunch of details around the buildings, around the tracks, to make everything look as real as I could make it. Now, somewhere along the line, I did some scenery. Again, same old techniques that I use on my layout. Plaster of Paris, sculpted, molded. The trees are made with the blueberry bush and also with the wire armatures for the spruce trees. And then I finished everything off with some static grass, and then I put all the buildings on there and all the details. So I'll let you enjoy this little segment here with all the finished scenes. Now for locomotives and cars, since this project is um, it's in partnership with the local railroads here, which are the QNSNL, ArcelorMittal, and SFP. Um, well, it was decided that all the partners would be properly represented with their locomotives. So for the QNSNL, I managed to find a locomotive that I could modify the paint scheme because it was a WSOR, which I could modify to QNSNL. And the Cartier or ArcelorMittal, this one is already produced. But there was one that was a little bit tougher, the SFP, which is a very small company. They only have 4 locomotives. So I took photos of the locomotives and I did a custom paint job for this locomotive. Same goes for the cars. There's the cars that we handle here are mostly iron ore cars. So in order to represent all the partners, I did custom paint cars for each partnership company. Now, as far as control goes, I installed a Digitrax DCC system, and the throttles are actual proto throttles, which is a good simulation compared to a real locomotive. It's not 100%, but it's quite good. So I figured that was a good compromise. I also installed Chucho Vision cameras inside the locomotives. And since all of this is Wi-Fi, the proto throttle and the cameras, the engineer is actually set in a separate classroom, and they have to work with the conductor via radio. So that entails proper radio communications, getting used to giving the good directions, the right distances for stopping and for hitching and everything else. So again, it's all part of the tool that makes it so much more realistic and bringing you closer to the work environment. And in an effort to have proper documentation, I produced a binder with all the instructions on how everything works, the proto throttle, including the programming, the signaling, the locomotives, so that they would have the proper material to work with in case I'm not there because I can't be there all the time. So at the end of 6 months' work, everything was ready to be transported to the classroom environment, and it was then installed, and it is now in full function. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the slideshow. Might have been a little long. I apologize for that. there, there was a lot of photos and lots to talk about. Once that layout was done, was built, it was delivered last at the end of October, early November 2023. And when I delivered the layout, I installed it in the room where you saw where there's it's a special class conference room slash class for the layout itself, and it's right next to the class where the locomotive simulators are for for the locomotive engineers in training. Anyway, after that was done, I gave them a small briefing on how everything works with the proto throttles, and I made a binder. I think I put some photos in there in the slideshow of the binders. I made some binders with all the information on how everything works, and I thought, that's it. They will handle this, and I told them, once a year before every program starts, I will come by and clean up the tracks, fix anything that needs fixing, load up the batteries, make sure that everything's working, because there are three proto throttles on there. Locomotives with cameras in them, so it's a lot of maintenance. So I said, once a year I'll just swing by and do all the maintenance, and you'll be all set to go. Well, as it turned out, they liked my briefing so much that they offered me a job teaching how it's basically teaching an introduction to the trainees to the layout itself, to the proto throttles and everything else, but also teaching about car marshaling, locomotive handling, and a bunch of procedures for railroads. So for now, this is just a part-time job because I'm not ready to quit my job. I love my job, and I still have at least 6 years to go before I can fully retire. But during my vacation time, I take the time to go and teach at the CEGEP, at the Technical Institute. And eventually, this will lead up to a full-time teaching job once I retire. So to me, this is a full circle moment. What started in, as toys, as trains, as hobby, that turned into a passion, that turned into a job for the prototype, which ended up giving me this contract in reverting back to models, and now teaching what I love and what I do best. So this is a fantastic opportunity, and I'm very thankful to the CEGEP de Sept-Îles, to have this opportunity and to be able to share what I love the best. So I hope none of you will let any opportunities pass you by. Always think, if someone asks for something, you never know what will end up. And I hope that some of you will get the same opportunities and get to enjoy this hobby and this life as much as I've been fortunate to do. So that's the end of episode number 14. Like I said, a very different episode. I hope you enjoyed. I apologize if it was a little bit long. I promise I'll do better in episode number 15. See you guys trackside. And as it's usually the case in all my videos, let's run some trains. But this time we're running HO scale trains.